Healing, healing, healing. It's something that you hear so much about in the spiritual world. A lot of things come down to healing, but it might leave you wondering what exactly healing is, because for the most part, it's a pretty vague concept. A lot of us just think that, you go to therapy for a month and then suddenly you're back to your usual happy self and you've done all of your healing. Something hurts you, you fix it, and then you're back to normal. You have some sort of issue with your body, you take some medication until it resolves, you go see a doctor, and then you're back to normal. So for many of us, this is what healing looks like. But when you start to dig into it from a more existential point of view, or perhaps more of a spiritual point of view, you start to understand that healing is this entire deep rabbit hole that really is a life journey. Because even if it doesn't seem like it, even if you think that, oh, like I'm pretty happy, I'm living a pretty good life, I'm not necessarily wounded, at least I don't think I am. The fact is that all of us are wounded to some degree. All of us carry baggage, all of us have some sort of dysfunction or something that we are just holding onto that is affecting our life experiences at whole. Because that's really what wounding does in the first place. It contaminates our perception of life, it contaminates our view of life, it contaminates our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, and it brings us further and further away from purity, which is these higher vibrational states of happiness, of joy, of love, of gratitude, of all of these good things that we are seeking in life. So when we are wounded, we don't really feel those things. In fact, we feel more shame, we feel more guilt, we feel more hate, we feel more resentment. Because we are hurt, we are wounded, so we want to naturally, instinctively spread that to other people. It's not because we're bad necessarily, it's not like anyone is a bad person for being wounded, but it does manifest into our behaviors. It does manifest into our attitudes, into essentially every aspect of our lives. And when you learn to see healing from this perspective, that it's not as linear as you get hurt and you fix it, that it's this whole thing, this whole journey of constantly cultivating this deeper connection to yourself and to purity, this is going to make a lot of changes in your life. It's going to put you on a much better path where you're going to have more of a sense of direction. You are going to know what you are actually looking for and how to get there, because for the most part, many of us are just sort of thrown into this spiritual journey, into this journey of personal growth and self-betterment, but we don't really know where to go. We don't actually know what we're doing. We might know to an extent what we're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for more happiness. I'm looking for more love, more unconditional love, more compassion. These are all higher vibrations or energies that make me feel good and that spread goodness. So why not? This is what life is about. But when you start asking, how do we actually get there? It's a little bit murkier. Because many of us know that we want to experience more of these things because they're inherently good. They help us, they make us feel better. But at the same time, we're trapped in these states of confusion, of angst, of pain, of suffering. Many of us suffer not because we want to, but because we don't know the route forward. So I'm telling you from a more existential perspective that that route towards happiness comes through healing. And if you are suffering, if you are, like if I'm speaking to you in this video and you say, yeah, that's me, like I'm on this journey, I'm trying to improve myself, I'm also on this spiritual journey, trying to make sense of it, but it's really hard and life is difficult and there's a lot of suffering in my life and I just don't know how to get out of it. Then I think making healing a priority is going to do a whole lot of good for you. And again, you can't just see it as a fix-it model, because this is essentially what the whole Western healthcare model is based around. It's fix it. It sees illness or dysfunction or wounding as a problem to be fixed rather than a condition to be worked on. That there's a whole lot more to it than, just fixing something. So you can't have that outlook that there's necessarily something to be fixed. But it's more that there is baggage, that you're carrying on to a lot of crap that is weighing you down, and it is convoluting your perspective. It's contaminating your life experience. That's why you see so much darkness in the world. That's why you see so much pain and so much suffering, because you have this baggage and you haven't yet let go of it. And that's the thing, because it's quite a long journey to actually let go of this baggage, and there's many different modalities and ways that we can go about it that can help, but there is no silver bullet. Because for the most part, it is a life journey of working on releasing all of these excess layers that we have accumulated throughout our lives. And these layers come in the form of trauma, they come in the form of just our programming, our conditioning, and just anything that we've really picked up along the way that has taken us away from these states of purity and these states of, fulfillment and wholeness. Because this is the way that I see wellness in general and healing in general. So I believe that at the core of everything, we all have a soul. We really are just souls inhabiting bodies for these lives to experience this, to go through our own journeys, and there will probably be many more journeys both before this and after this. But that soul is inherently good. That is the part of you that is connected to the divine, or to God, or to cosmic creation, or to ultimate reality, or whatever you want to call it. Every tradition, every belief system has a different word for it, has a different name for it. But there's a part of you, the deepest level of you, is actually connected to this whole system, to this state of absolute purity, which we might interpret as God, or as heaven, or as paradise. Again, it depends on the tradition. So that goodness, that happiness is always there. But just part of being a human being is that you take on a lot of baggage throughout your life experience. And from the day that you are born, it's sort of like you keep putting on padding and padding and padding and padding, baggage and baggage and baggage and baggage, until the point that we are very disconnected from that sense of purity inside. So even people who are lost, or you could say bad people, people who are lost in the darkness, people who do harmful things, I believe that everyone is inherently good. Everyone has a soul, and that soul is always connected to this deeper source, or God. But the thing is that there's so much excess, so much baggage on top of that, that we've really lost that connection. And I do think that there is a direct correlation between the amount of baggage that you have, the more disconnected you become from your soul. It's not that it's not there again, it's just that there's so much covering it that you are not aware that it even exists anymore. And people who have minimal baggage, of course, being a human being, we all have some baggage. That's a condition for reincarnating here, at least I believe, is that we have baggage. We're humans, we're dysfunctional. We have karmic stuff, we have ancestral stuff that we need to deal with as well. So it's not just what we picked up throughout our lives, but there's a lot of other sort of layers on top of that as well. But anyway, someone who has really worked their whole life, worked very hard to cultivate this deeper connection with soul, every day doing some spiritual practice, every day working on themselves, every day cleansing, purifying, then they have a much stronger connection to soul because there's less baggage there. And naturally, as a byproduct of being connected to spirit, or to the soul, or to God, that's when these energies of love start coming through. That's when these energies of gratitude, of compassion, of joy. It's not because you are finding them, it's because they are naturally coming out because you are connecting with that part of you that is inherently connected to these energies. And when people are completely lost, they have almost completely lost that connection. They don't feel much love, they don't feel much gratitude, they don't feel much hope, they don't feel much joy. Not because it's not there somewhere underneath the surface, but because there's just so much excess baggage on top of it that they've lost that connection to it. Our wellness or well-being is just the state of purity that we have achieved throughout this life. It's how much baggage we've taken off. So if we keep taking off that baggage and we really dedicate ourselves to just doing a little bit every day, it might take some time, especially if you are deeply wounded, you have a lot of trauma, you had some horrible experiences in the past, you're still carrying a lot of baggage, then it will take time. It will take years. It will probably be a life journey. I think for most of us, healing is a life journey. But if you constantly move the needle every day, then I can assure you that within 10 years from now, your perspective of life, of reality, your mindsets, your behaviors, everything is going to be very, very different. Because you are constantly purifying, you are constantly working on yourself. And again, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This is really how we need to see healing and well-being, is that it's not just like sprinting to a finish line and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna, go to therapy every day and heal as much as I can this month because that's all I have time for. Then I'm back to work and back to doing all of these things. That is just throwing more dirt on this heap. No, it's a lifestyle. Healing is a lifestyle. And it has a direct correlation with your happiness. So if you are deeply unhappy, if you are suffering a lot, it's because there is still a lot of baggage that you are carrying. So therefore, your priority should be to remove that baggage, to heal, to get rid of this crap that no longer serves you, that you picked up somewhere along the way, but it's time for it to go. And continuously excavate the soul. Create this deeper connection with this part of you that is inherently good. And everyone has a different pathway, but what I suggest is, not just doing one particular thing and only sticking to that, but rather explore all of these different modalities. Explore the world, because there are many different traditions. There's a lot of wisdom around the world regarding what healing is and how people can heal. So if you just, focus your entire life on only doing breath work, maybe you get really good at it and you find that it does a lot. It clears a lot of energy. It helps you purge a lot of stuff. It gets rid of a lot of stuff. It's still not going to do everything. It's still not going to clear that entire pile, because really this is just one approach. It might do some things really well, but other things it will probably neglect. Likewise, if you really want to heal, you can't just go to South America and do ayahuasca ceremonies every week. Believe me, as much as I would love to just do ayahuasca ceremonies every week and then suddenly be perfectly healed, that's not how it works. And if you were to do that, you'd find the same thing. Okay, this can help with a lot of plant medicines and shamanic traditions. They can help with a lot of different things. But if you are only doing that and neglecting everything else, then, the needle only moves so much. You're not going to be suddenly completely pure after doing 10 ayahuasca ceremonies. It's just not the way it works. It can help, but it won't clear the entire pile, because there's a lot of different things that you're holding on to, and a lot of different traditions and modalities work in different ways. Likewise, if you just meditate for 2 hours every day for the rest of your life, you might achieve some beautiful things through that. You might have this sense of just stillness and peace and impermanence with your life. You might even astral project and go to some incredible places. You might learn a lot about yourself in the process, but it might also neglect other stuff. So the way I see it is that if you only pick one modality or one way of clearing, of healing, then really your well-being becomes a little bit lopsided. And I do see this quite a bit, like in different spiritual communities around the world, where people sort of pick their poison, so to speak, and they say, I'm just going to stick to this sort of trauma work. I'm just going to stick to breath work. I'm just going to stick to shadow work. I'm just going to stick to plant medicines. And again, like, yeah, maybe that helps them quite a bit in some particular areas, especially. But then there's all of this baggage and dirt over here that they are neglecting. There's baggage in the mind, in their emotions, on their spiritual body. So if we want to really get rid of this baggage and cultivate a deeper connection with the soul, I think the best way to go about it is to take a balanced approach and try a lot of different things. I'm not saying like not to have your main modality, something that you really resonate with and a tradition that you want to follow. I do suggest having a main tradition that you want to follow because I think there's a lot of joy in that. That's a pathway. But don't neglect the other stuff as well. Especially I see a lot of people who neglect shadow work, which I haven't made any videos on yet, but I will. I think I'll do a little series on that because it's super important. It's super important looking into your dysfunctions and the parts of you that you have abandoned or you have excluded and working on integrating these different aspects of yourself. And, just going actually into yourself and looking at what is wrong here, like what am I doing wrong? Addressing a lot of these questions that we tend to avoid because we don't want to feel that way. We don't want to feel like we are at fault. We don't want to feel like there's some problem with me. So we look outwards, we look towards other modalities, towards other things that we can do that brings the attention away from really looking at the dark, rotting mess inside. But it's necessary. So as long as you make healing a priority, not just as a one-time thing, not just going to therapy for a little bit, not just seeing a psychologist, not just taking some medication, not just doing a plant medicine ceremony, but if you see it as a lifelong pursuit, as part of your lifestyle where maybe you work on something for 10 minutes a day, like it's not a big commitment if you just do a little bit every day. If you meditate for 10 minutes a day, if you do a bit of breath work for 10 minutes a day, if you do a bit of self-inquiry and really just start, processing your thoughts and your experiences or talking to people and venting things or finding what works for you. It's not a big commitment, but it's an important commitment to see it this way, to see that healing is a lifelong journey, especially if there's a lot of healing to be done. And I'm not saying that some people, I'm not saying that it's a lifelong journey for everyone necessarily. I do think many people, just generally they're pretty clean. They might not even be on a spiritual journey. They might not even have any interest in spirituality, but they're just genuinely good, kind, happy, helpful people. You've probably met many people like this. And for me, I think that comes down to karma. I think karmically, they just don't have a lot of baggage to take into this life, so they don't need to necessarily work on it as hard. But if you are gravely suffering, you do. If you do have karmic baggage, or if you did go through something traumatic, if you have childhood trauma, if you have these issues, then you do need to consistently work on it. Just chip away at your healing, chip away at this mound of baggage that has accumulated over this purity. Because that's really what you should be working towards, is just purity. How can I cleanse a little bit more today? How can I become a little bit more pure today? And what even is purity? How can I start walking in that direction towards just deeper states of unconditional love? And moving away from these energies of resentment, of guilt, of shame, of hatred, of these things that just make us feel crap. And they just add on more baggage. And that's another thing we need to consider, is that throughout our life experiences, It's not like you just have this mound and you work on it over many years and then it's gone. Like, we are adding to that mound as we go as well. So really the way we need to go about this is just make sure that every day you're taking off more than you're putting on. It should be like a net negative in a way, if that makes sense. Again, there's not just one way that we can heal. There's a million different ways. There's a lot of different energy work type modalities. You can see a Reiki practitioner. I'm sure that will help on some level of your well-being. You can do different ceremonies. You can just do it through prayer. Like, prayer is very powerful. You can do it through fasting. That will help you just, purify a little bit more. Then, in Eastern traditions, mantras are very big. Japa, like using these to meditate. These all move the needle in their own way. So you just need to sort of create a mental list of different modalities that you can do that can sort of just chip away at that baggage. Knowing that there is a beautiful soul in there is a beautiful life experience in there waiting to be had. It's just, you can't see it right now because there's so much crap on top of it. So you just need to start working at taking off that crap. And that's what will, in turn, eventually lead you to deeper purity, lead you to deeper states of connection, to feeling more connected with the universe, with God, with oneself, with family, with other people. Because that's really what it is. The deepest level of purity, at least in my perspective, is unity with everything, with God, with Source. And we could call this heaven. Again, we can call it paradise. We can call it nirvana. Doesn't matter what the label is. Doesn't matter what the tradition is, but they all believe that there is this state of absolute purity, which is what we are inherently inside. It's just some of us get lost. Many of us get lost throughout this life experience, because part of a human being is to be lost. So I'll close off this video in saying that, in my opinion, two things that move the needle the most are consistency and diversity. Just being consistent with practice, doing a little bit every day, and diversifying your practices. So don't just get stuck on one particular modality, because a lot of people do. They'll just stick to one thing for many, many years, and then they'll say, I don't really feel like this has helped. Like, it probably has, just not in that way that you are looking for. That's why it's important to diversify and try different things. Have a few different main modalities that you practice regularly. Seek out different teachers. Have conversations with people. Talk about it, explore yourself. And part of it is these will start coming. You'll start learning about these different things. The internet is a bottomless source of information, so you can get a lot of good knowledge just from doing a Google search. It's probably how you found me, I imagine. So, just stick to these two things and treat it as a marathon that, as long as you just do a little bit every day, you are slowly just taking a shovel of dirt from this giant pile that has accumulated, and that you are just shoveling, excavating, slowly working your way towards purity, towards cleansing, towards finding this deeper part of you, this deeper part of your soul, this deeper part of your consciousness that is already pure.